Welcome to Truth Stream. We're back with our friend and paisan, Michael Della Rocca, for the fourth visit. Welcome. It's great to see you again. Today, we're going to be talking about the changes, subtle and not so subtle, that we've been noticing regarding dimensional shifts, timelines, and things of that nature. So, without further ado, welcome, Michael.
It's good to be with you guys once again. It's always great to get together, and we all bring out the best in each other, and we're really starting to see like two realities, and a lot of the old start to either fade away, or some of what was been hidden from us our entire lives really come to the surface right now.
Very much so. Well, we get together. We usually get together about once a month. It's with Christmas and everything. It got a little crazy, so it's been a couple months. But Michael, we're gonna delve a little bit into some of the stuff that's been on your show, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff that's been on our show. It's Human Trafficking Awareness Month, so we've been featuring a lot of guests on that subject matter. And I know you've talked a little bit about Avatar 2 and the subject matter will that starts with an A. We'll leave that word alone for right now. But anyway, so that's some we're going to kind of combine. We always co-host the show, right? We're just three paisans hanging out. So Michael, we'll start off with you and we'll just let this unfold organically. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, it's best just to be a conversation, and it so shows the authenticity of the world that we're heading in. And yeah, it's really important to raise awareness of human trafficking. There's a famous quote, and it says, "A society is judged by how they treat their most vulnerable." And especially in the modern world, a lot of people are worshiping false idols, maybe famous celebrities or famous people on the TV, and they're forgetting maybe we need to look at our children, see what's going on, how are the most vulnerable people of our society are treated, and what's really going on. So it is important to raise awareness to this. Yeah, and in the movie Avatar, if anyone is new to me that's getting this message, I have a YouTube channel, Our Everyday Lives, and I talk about a lot of the revelations in the movie Avatar. They were what I like to call giving us the purple pill. There's different levels and layers to the awakening process. Some people say, "Oh, take the red pill," like the movie The Matrix. But that's only one level. You could take the purple pill and go several layers even beyond the red pill. So, I like to really share about the awakening process. There's so many different people, different aspects of our reality. We're all seeing what has been hidden from us for so many years come to light. And it could be in many different aspects of life, well, whether it's the political realm, foods, the pharmaceutical realm. So, there's a reason why people are waking up, and they're all different reasons. So there's levels and layers to the awakening process. So yeah, especially in that movie, they were showing us some deep truths. And what I share on my channel is the science of subconscious programming and predictive programming. And that's why, if we learn about the laws of the universe, there's actually laws of the universe, not fake man-made laws. And there's a universal law of free will, and they have to disclose the truth. And one of the ways that they do that, and how they get around, say, the backlash of telling people the truth, is by showing you in movies. And some people that are listening to this message, they might have heard of predictive programming. But in our mind, when we're sitting there watching a movie, we're taking it in like, oh, this is fictional. And everything is inverted, also known as Luciferian. So when we think about Satanism, it's not some guy with a red horns and a pitchfork. It actually means the opposite. So we're actually spinning in spirals. So we're either ascending, hence ascension, or people are descending into a black hole. So it's the opposite. Some are going down into the inversion, the opposite. So when we look at anything in life, the way that they present it, it's literally the opposite. So when you're watching movies, they're actually telling you the truth. Watching the news, you're watching fake news.
It's interesting. I have a purple friend, and that I was talking to the other day, sharp dude, and he's been spending a lot of time at his parents' house, and this is one of those households where the TV's on all the time, and it's usually CNN. So he's hearing the news, and he says to me, well, it's via text, but he says, it's like I'm witnessing a portal into a different world than the one I live in. Like, I can't even believe the stuff that they're saying. You know, my parents are eating this up, and but the way he described it, like it's, you know, two different worlds. And I know a lot of us have felt that way for a long time throughout this process, but I think it's starting to affect everyone, and you know, some more than others, and that's signals to me that there is a real awakening happening.
Yeah, it really is two different worlds, and you know, we're receiving. Tesla said, "I am the receiver," so we're receiving information from around us that becomes our programming, number one, and it actually becomes our genetics. And Dr. Bruce Lipton spoke about epigenetics. Epigenetics meaning above genetics, and a lot of people aren't aware of the importance of their DNA and how it's actually you know, related to manifestation or you know, your past lives. A lot of people have the amnesia of past lives, but some people might be getting this message and they could say, "Oh, I can relate to that." Where certain things in your life, it's so easy because you have the memories or the abilities from past lives, and some things you totally struggle with. And you know, these things, there's also other terms like the Akashic records, which is the storage of this information. So just like, you know, in a computer, they have storage, or in the cloud, if you will. I'm just trying to give some terms that people can relate to. Well, the cloud of the universe, like how you, you know, can take your, you know, pictures and put it up in the cloud, and then it goes from one device to another, is actually the Akashic records. And that information could go from one life to the next life. And we download it into our DNA. But in today's world, the DNA is a little corrupted, just like the software could be corrupted in a computer or some kind of system.
Right. You know, on the topic of Akashic records, how is it that if you're familiar, that those are accessed? Because I've heard, you know, that either below the Vatican or whatever. I mean, are these is this something that's either stored on like a computer or on papers or scrolls, or what's your insight, either of you, onto like how do we access those Akashic records, or is it just downloads that we pull from, you know, the ether?
Well, it's you pull it from the ether. You know, I have a good friend, Adam Gell. He actually is able to read the Akashic records. But and you know, my experience with it, you know, it's something that's really connected to nature, if you will. And in my you know, firsthand experience of it, I wasn't really able to get much information, but by doing what he showed me, actually seeing the color purple, and actually you know, feeling just by it's called even opening the records, or being connected to it. And I'll give you guys a physical example in a minute. This is more energetic, but just connecting to it actually heals the body. And in say the physical world, some people heard of grounding. When you actually connect to nature, people were trained to put rubber soles on, go in the cubicle all day. They're disconnected from nature. People suffer from nature's deficit disorder. Some people were trained invertedly to be fearful of the sun. They put chemicals in sunblock and put it into their skin, and they hide in the basement all day long. Some of you know people that hide in the basement, but but you know, it's literally like the vampires and the zombies and the light. But everything is inverted. So we're actually, the more that you connect naturally, if you connect to the sun, if you connect to the earth, and if you could connect to this galactic energy, Akashic records being an example, you're just, your overall health, your mental health, your physical health, and as I call it, your spiritual health. We have spiritual health as well. And some people are not spiritually healthy. To go back to the beginning of this conversation, some people are worshiping false idols on the TV, false celebrities on the TV, and they're disregarding their children.
It's too true. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, tell what one of the videos or the topics we talked about was the rule of 80-20, and how you might want to go into that. I think that's one of the topics of your videos this week.
Yeah, the 80-20 law, the law of 80-20. These are the if you're again, if anyone's listening to me for the first time, I teach all this on YouTube, and we could apply these things to real life. So the law of 80-20, also known as Pareto's principle, this is a natural law of the universe. So he actually studied pea pods, Pareto, Vilfredo Pareto, and he came up with that 20% of the pea pods produced 80% of the peas. So 20% of certain things will give 80% results from a smaller portion. So the 80%, other 80% is like fluff and does nothing. 80% produces 20%, and then 20% produces 80%. So we talk about the great shift of consciousness, the awakening of humanity that's happening now. And we also talk about critical mass. We have to reach critical mass. Some people are, either sleepy or drowsy, and they're just waking up. But when we reach critical mass, that's around 20%. We don't need every person to wake up. When about 20% of the world wakes up, that's the law of 80-20. So when we look at, and this is a law that is always followed. So, I always say, some people say, oh, everything's a lie. 80% of everything's a lie. 20%, they have to give you some truth. They don't lie about everything. And that's how this gets tricky. Not everything's a lie. Most things are a lie, but not everything's a lie. So that's why you have to use clairsentience in the end days. One of the earliest videos that I did, you're going to have to really use, discernment, feel the energy behind people, say, oh, I'm learning this resonates with me. Listen to your body. Your body is the tuning fork to telling you the truth. You can't take a book anymore and look at the book and say, okay, these are the answers in the textbook. I go on a rant on this all the time. Nikola Tesla is not in the textbooks, in the fake school textbooks, because he wanted to give free energy to everyone. I taught in fake public schools for years. There was never Nikola Tesla, because everything is political, because he wanted to give free energy. And all of his inventions, there's never a word about Nikola Tesla. That's why parents around the world are pulling their children out of school and homeschooling. And people, maybe your audience is homeschooling their children as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've noticed it with certain people around the Northwest. But you said something about being asleep at the wheel. This is something that Scott and I have noticed.
Oh boy.
In the last week, we went down to go speak at the Truth Tour 3 down south of Olympia. And it's to help people really get involved in their communities. And the videos are all online under Lewis Herms's Screw Big Gov. But on the way back, on one side of the freeway was one wreck. And then about a few minutes later was another wreck. And it literally looked like it's rare that you're seeing these cars way off in the bushes and flipped over. And these people are literally falling asleep at the wheel. And so, we hear about the pilots and how, was it over at Davos that the elite were hiring, non-jabbed for YouTube pilots. And so, is it going to be that way soon with Uber drivers? I mean, are we entering a time when people could just fall asleep at the wheel? Literally. I mean, this was just uncanny.
This just happened to a friend and coworker of mine. He got some probably bad advice, and he made a decision that led to this, I think. But you can read between the lines.
Yeah,
he was doing 65 miles an hour, and he started to feel funny, and all of a sudden he just blacked out. Fortunately, he came to, and the car had slowed itself, and he remained in a straight line. Lucky. Very lucky outcome. But now he's very open to the possibility of having an injury to deal with. So it's it's a big concern. I think we're going to see more and more and more of it, kind of like we are seeing with newscasters just in the middle of a presentation dropping, or obviously the athletes more and more. I mean, these are people in the prime of their lives, phenomenal health, and it's startling.
Yeah.
I was just going to say one other thing on that. Last year I went to my old high school, and last year I wasn't allowed to do anything because I didn't have the inoculation. And this year, if I want to help out, and I have family members at this school now, and to either be a chaperone or whatever, Well, I filled out the paperwork this time for my religious exemption, and I wrote a little bit about, hey, this is what's going on. I actually, I run a show speaking with people like, yourself, Michael. And I also wrote in there the website Real Not Rare, www.realnotrare, and it's where people can go and literally look at injuries from people. You can go by state, you can go by name, whatever. And that may have been part of their willingness to to see things in a different light. So we are starting to see the people wake up a little bit. And so I know that you've been in New York, you're currently in the Sunshine State. Are you noticing differences in the two locations that you're in with people's perceptions of things? Or
Yeah, well, across the world, and Dolores Cannon spoke about this time period, and she spoke about like the pockets of the 5D, or the pockets of the new Earth, and that's why you could have like a big pocket of, say, darkness, and then like little pockets of light within there, or even big pocket of light with little pockets of darkness. So it's just like, it's almost like a natural shift until everything just collapses. Light consumes darkness, not the other way around. So some places might be a little bit take a little bit longer than others, but God or the universe always gives us an energy theme, and I speak a lot about that. And we as a species, or we as humanity, have been asleep at the wheel. And we've all, and it's no one's fault, even myself. That's why we're all in awakening, and we're helping all of our brothers and sisters, regardless of the level of their awakening. But humanity as a whole has been asleep at the wheel, and we're distracted with things. Everything is a distraction. So you guys could be doing the work, I could be doing the work. People activate to give a distraction, to lower your frequency, because, and I even see this on my channel as well, when my frequency is high, just like literally, like if I'm, has nothing to do with the videos like that I put out or anything, I clearly see the difference. If I go into like a lower frequency, I see, I could literally see like the charts and the graphs go down and then go up. So we have everything is connected, and it's connected in the ether. And some people might hear that and think it's wackadoo, but it's literally the frequency. So they want to distract you. That's how this is the silent war in the spiritual war, right? So people can activate. Some people use the term NPC. They just activate. In the Matrix, they use the term Agent Smith. And they will activate, and they'll do things to try to lower your frequency. And simply by lowering your frequency, people that try to aggravate you for no reason, they try to slander you. There's a famous quote: after the battle is lost, slander is used by the loser. So you'll see people try to, and that's why people are learning. That's why we have to educate, everyone. The people that watch you, the people that watch me. You learn these tactics, and you learn the tactics of the enemy. Slander is always used, so they try to lower your frequency, try to bring you down, and so they'll either give you shiny things, shiny like the metaverse. You ever hear about the metaverse? And people are gonna plug into the metaverse, and they'll forget about their connection to God, and they could say, "Wow, I could plug into this shiny metaverse with all these worlds. I could be whoever I want." And that's that, like that little trick that the devil plays, and tries to give you things and distract you with shiny toys, or they could distract you with fear. And what do they say? It's better to attract them with honey. I forget how the old saying goes, but
yeah,
they could attract
catch
you
more
with
flies with honey than, I think, right?
vinegar or something like that,
Yeah.
right? So, but a lot of us are immune to that. We're not attracted by the honey, and then sometimes they might try to, ruffle your feathers. But literally, everything is a frequency. So when you yourself are vibrating higher, you're pulling things that are according to that frequency. Like we all connect because we're on the same frequency. And we were just sharing, like, I'm literally seeing this. I see people that I personally went through this, where people fell out of my life because I went here, and this frequency triggers them because they're down here, and they're not up here, and it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just how it is. And I'm watching other people, like people that I know, they're all of a sudden bickering. and there's this divide. And this is the year of 2023. And if anyone's new to my channel, I said this year the divide gets wide. And just like you said, your friend said that they're tuning into the TV and they're like, wow, this is like it's a portal into a different world. It's a totally different frequency, and we have to understand the science behind it. And that's why Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So we're vibrating, we're tuned into this frequency, and some people are tuned into one and another. And it's really more than two. It's like a blend. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, I'm either going to make it or I'm not. It's like a layers of the onion. And how high do you want to go? You just want to go here? That's okay. You want to go up here? That's okay. But as we're breaking free of these old subconscious programs, we're seeing people that aren't going to make it and those that are. And there's just such a clash that like the dissonance. I think I talked about this before on your show, when you're caught in between two frequencies on the radio and you draw right. I talked to that's a really, and I love to share that because that gives people a real, like, that dissonance. You're like, so you're hearing a person, you're like, man, I passed that 4 years ago. You're still there. It's you can't, and you just got to tune it off, and you gotta go away.
Managing your state is just it's got to be deliberate now, because these frequencies, it's a wild ride, but you definitely feel better on certain frequencies than you do on others. But when we start to develop techniques to manage our state and to pay attention to our frequency and to to live very deliberately, we learn a lot more about our nature. The contrasts become more stark. The truth emerges more readily. It's where we're at, I think, on this planet right now, and I think it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But I dug this out when you were talking about the Pareto principle, because I think it's an interesting companion piece to that. So I just thought I'd read it real quick. Yeah. Psychologist Stanley Milgram found that 80% of the population do not have the psychological or moral resources to defy an authority's order, no matter how illegitimate the order is. Therefore, only 20% have critical thinking capacity. This explains quite a lot.
It certainly does.
Never before has that been more readily apparent.
Yeah, that's what he was digging into over there.
Yeah. If I see distracted, I'm like, oh, he's
not like, oh, this Michael guy's really not that in.
This is how we know, but this is why I encourage people. We're building communities, and we all have to, share together. So I might have said something that sparked something in you that you remembered, and that's why we have to collaborate. And that's why the old guard of you listen to me, and right. This is the authority. There's no authority in the new earth. So if anyone's listening to this, if you're down with the authority, and again, we have laws, natural laws of the universe and things, but we've lived in a world where people they were controlled, and they're used as a human battery, as they said in the Matrix, and they're constantly their battery is drained all day long. I want to give the audience, because some people might be new. This is something I believe everyone could resonate with. If you think about all your clothes that you have, you probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And so I try to give these examples to, people like, oh, wow, that really does happen, and that's how we're all going through the change. I share about ascension symptoms, the feelings that we have from the frequency of our world, which is known as the Schumann resonance. I'll share a funny story from about a week ago. I was watching like the end of a football game. And I was watching with my friend Paul, and we're watching the screen, and both of us are we're falling asleep. And it was like if it was like a blowout, we would have went to, but it kept getting closer and closer, and we're like, oh, come on, just score again. So we would have went to bed early, but we wanted to see the end, and we couldn't keep both at the same time. All of a sudden, we couldn't keep our eyes open, and once it was over, went to bed. And that was it. So it's funny that when we have these certain, shifts in the Schumann resonance, solar flares. We recently had multiple X3 class solar flares. The X class solar flares are very powerful, and it actually affects us. And when we think about our DNA is an energy amplifier, so we're all being changed. And if we think of our DNA as the Tesla coil, the DNA is coiled, and we're receiving light codes. So people that are maybe part of a spiritual community, they're on that journey, they always hear about light codes, and light codes are a real thing. It's not spiritual wackadoo, let's go on the unicorn and go over go over the rainbow, over the unicorn. Light codes, we get information. And just like how, a plant grows towards the light, we could see that as a real life example. We could see, when the springtime comes, all of a sudden the ants come up out of the ground. They know, to come up because they're getting the codes. So our DNA, our world's about to change, and it will never be the same again. And our DNA is telling us the codes that we need, that we have to evolve. Some people, their DNA is no longer reading those codes.
Wow. That's a good point. But boy, aren't we ready for a change? That sounds so great.
Well, I think what's fascinating, our shows are so different. You're someone every day that is, you're mainly the presenter. You're doing the research, you're digging, and not that we're not, but our shows are really focused on the guest. We're very guest centric, and Scott and I eventually are going to be doing some lives, and he might even start doing a little rant here and there at some point. But
let him rant. Let the man rant.
I get a little carried away sometimes.
Yeah,
best to do that solo, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think, we talk about what makes us do these shows, what makes us throw our hat in the ring. And if we look at the mainstream news and we look at a lot of the motivation as to why we're receiving certain information, if people look at your show or they look at our show, we feel like absolutely compelled. We have to do this. Now, we may be risking, and we've talked about this a little bit before, going back to a regular job, since people can just look us up and go, well, they talk about all kinds of stuff with all kinds of guests. But I think there's a beauty in that we're putting ourselves on the line for the betterment of mankind. And I think it's time to look at what motivates people to put themselves out there. And we have you on the show regularly. I mean, the main reason is because you're Italian. It's not because you're it's not because you're brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, we all dealt.
Yeah, we're Italian centric.
Yeah, we're Italian centric. We're biased. Well, no, we love having you on because there's a lot of things that you bring to the table, and there's also a comfort, I think, like, when Michael's on, it's like people having a nice plate of pasta when they come to our show or something like that. So
but definitely elevate the food.
Yeah, you elevate. Yeah. So it's amazing to lock arms. And I guess part of why I'm saying this, like, I know you don't have a lot of guests, but we have a lot of guests on our show that resonated at similar frequencies. And you're always, if you're so inclined at some point and you see our show, you can always ask us, and we'll happily give you information if you ever want to have other people, and even if they're not Italian, on your show.
Yeah.
But anyway, we love locking arms with you because Scott and I it's been so much easier for us to talk about this type of stuff because we've met people in real life. We have these conversations. We have an awesome guy that comes on our show named Kevin, and he's been talking about this stuff for a long time. And he has, he doesn't have his own show, but he plugs these brilliant people into our show. So I guess I just want to kind of bring up, we're in the same fight, but our shows are so different. I just find that really fascinating.
It is, but that's how this is all planned out. When I share about this is a biblical time. A lot of your audience and my audience understands that it's a biblical time. And when we look at the Hopi prophecy, which also speaks about this time, they spoke about the rainbow warriors, and we all have a different ability. So what you're doing, that's your divine purpose, and you know, my ability is my divine purpose, but we're still the same energy. We're still serving the same mission, but you have to have, you know, listen, you're running a city. You got to have your police officers, your firefighters. It's a different, you know, a different format or a different, you know, goal. And we're not supposed to be exactly the same because otherwise we can't get the work done. So you're playing the divine role as per that. I'm playing the divine role. And, you know, when you mentioned, you know, say going back to the normal, that old, first of all, it was not normal. It was actually satanic, but that's
right. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. But a lot of people that are hearing this will feel it. Nothing could stop this. So when you're out in the ocean, right? I'm a man of the ocean, right? I could be all strong and everything, but when that wave comes, the wave is coming. You got to go this way with the wave, because if you try to go back, that wave is going to knock the shift out of you. You're not, there's no point. I use this one too. The building's on fire. The building is burning down. We're not going back into the building. It's finished. We're out. There's no point in going back. So every person, and that's how we reach critical mass, because once you have realized, then you can't go back. So you have to realize, people have to realize, they can't be told, because the truth cannot be told. It can only be realized. So once you say, man, that building's on fire, I can't go. There's no point. There's nothing. They can't go back there. The building's done. So we have to go to somewhere else. Or, you know, if you see the big wave coming, anyone that's out on the beach has been knocked over by a wave. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Mother Nature's gonna, so Mother Nature is giving us that solar flash that's coming. It's coming in waves. And, you know, when we you know, biblically, when we, you know, talk about the flood from years ago, well, this flood is not going to be with physical water. It's going to be with an energy that cannot be stopped.
You've got such a gift with analogies, and I really enjoy them. But the one that really sticks, it just keeps coming up because it's just such a good way to look at it. Is it's time to get off the stands and out onto the field. You know, it's a much better feeling when we
use it a couple.
Yeah, times. When you're actively. Yeah, we just spoke in front of a group and it came up. You know, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's. You know, there's a certain amount of discomfort. You know, it's more of a fear space when you're a spectator, when you know that you're considering all this information, but when you get down and interact and you know, commit to, you know, helping to make that difference, it just it's just a better frequency, I guess.
There's something in the soul that it just, you're here for there's just something in the soul that wants you to do, and we're actually here to become creators, because each and every one of us have this godlike ability to create. But they tricked you. They said, oh, no, look at the false idols, and you sit there and wait, and you vote for this political party, and then changes are going to happen, and you just sit there and wait. And what they do is they just get you to sit there on the couch with the nachos and cheese, and no one does. That's how they get away with it. Just just sit there. You know, people like us can't, but it raises your frequency. There are times I could have the worst day. Even today, I was a little tired. Now, because I'm in alignment. So we have to, I talked about recently this week, flow versus force. And being in alignment is more important than having a plan. So sometimes we say, oh, I have this plan. I've been going through this my whole life. I say, oh, I have this plan. Being in alignment, once you fall in alignment, it's more powerful. Just going with your frequency. And once you're in alignment, everything, like I'm in alignment with you guys, you know, and then, you know, other people, you know, it doesn't matter who they are. If it's not in alignment, it's not, if it's in alignment, the creative power is so much greater.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because he may not want me to say it, but sometimes he's apprehensive about talking in front of crowds. And I'm like, let's not make a plan. Let's just get a couple of talking points. And, you know, I started off down, you know, in Olympia talking a little bit, and then I just turned it over to him. And it was funny because after, I'm like, God, you did great. You looked like you felt really comfortable. And he's like, I didn't really feel comfortable. But then he went back and he looked at the video of him talking. It's like, you know, he was.
I never do that. I never watch any of them.
Yeah, he was a teacher though. But but I know how he is when he starts, and he just gets, it's like riding a wave, you know?
Yeah.
And it was cool to hear his feedback that he actually watched himself. Cause, you know, sometimes we have more confidence in others than we do in ourselves, or others have more confidence in us than we do in ourselves. And I'm just like, Scott, don't worry about it. We're going to be in alignment. We're going to go down there, and it's just going to come out. And it was cool, because it's cool that happened, and it was a really beautiful thing to witness. And so I had to say, bring that up.
My apprehension, it's kind of interesting, because I used to be completely comfortable speaking, you know, in large groups and so on, but I don't know. I'm thinking it was around 2012. The empathy just started amping up and amping up, and so interactions with people when you're in that state can be incredibly overwhelming. You know, even just being in a crowd, much less addressing a crowd. So
hearing their thoughts, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I've had to learn how to navigate that, because we have different senses coming online. You know, we have like 9 senses, but you know, a lot of people don't realize that. And we have these clairs, you know, clairaudience, clairvoyance, all the clairs.
Right.
Those are coming online for a lot of folks.
Very strongly.
Yeah.
And even myself, it's just a totally different world, and there's levels and layers to why, because we don't know what's going on within people. But like, I was years ago, you know, oh, let's be in the crowd. Now I try to, there's people over there.
Yeah.
I go by myself. I just don't want to be around anyone. So yeah, you do become very sensitive. I think that in the future things will change, but think about how sick humanity is as a whole right now. And you don't even know the emotions. If you are becoming more and more empathic, you're picking up on, you know, other people's emotions or what they have. And there's a lot of pain in this world right now, and it's being done on purpose. You know, I just recently, I just put up a video, access denied. I went by a place over here where the entrance to the beach and the whole structure has been destroyed by a manufactured storms, but that's a story for another time. But what they're trying to do is constantly, oh my God, the plague, oh my God, the storm, oh my God, the taxes, oh my God, the bills, oh my God, the inflation. Think about what I'm so now the people like this, and they're just amping it up, the bills, the inflation, the thing. So you're constantly in fear, and then your access is denied from reaching that higher plane of existence. So that's why, you know, it's getting easier and easier to identify the enemy, especially when you're, you know, focused on the consciousness scale. And once you hit that fear, and then especially guilt and shame, you are identifying the enemy.
It's this whole idea of, you know, managing your state, you know, following your frequency. It's like surfing all the time. And when you're in interactions with people, you know, I mean, you're maybe that's a deadhead in the water or something. You got to navigate around, or you know, maybe you go back over and into the swell and wait for a better wave or whatnot. You know, sometimes you just fall off, you're bored, and then you go to sleep and take a nap. But yeah, it's more of a deliberate process, I think, now than by necessity than it ever has been. But the good news is it's also natural human behavior, I think. So you know, we're instinctively you know, pretty capable of doing this. This is kind of a crash course I think we're in right now as a humanity.
Yeah. And life is really trial and error. So they try to have a book that's why the old, you know, way we're waking up from, they try to program people. This is the only way. It's not the only way. So your life is really trial and error. And the best teacher in life is failure. And I did a full video on this, and everyone that's listening to this, regret is worse than failure. So they try to keep you in fear. But one day you sit there, if I said, oh, you know, if I would be sitting there and I said, oh, I never did my first video, I never started this, and if I live with the regret, that is your personal hell that you have to live with, because I just let it go. So just do things. Yeah.
Well, you're really on, you know, it's weird. I've been watching this show on HBO Max because we're going to have a guest that was part of the Keith Raniere, the Vow is the name of the series. And then I listened to SGN and Scott McKay today. And it's the first show where SG shows his face, if people are familiar with him. But it was weird that I heard from both shows totally the same thing, unrelated but completely related. And it's hell is meeting on your deathbed, meeting the version of you that you could have been. And they both said it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, it was really profound because I have always strived, whether it's through financial or creativity, to keep going. You know, if I had to move back home, I never, you know, I bartended for many years so that I could make, it's like the one way I could, you know, go to different cities and make enough money that was, you know, you can do pretty damn well bartending that you would as, you know, being someone in a white collar job or a blue collar job that, you know, as well. And but anyway, I just found that something that really applicable to where we're at now, because, you know, I don't think any of us now, we're all on the field, and I've never lived my lives in the stands, but sometimes you need to learn a little bit about the rules before you just go jump in on the field. You know, and even Scott told me, and this was part of my awakening, is that the world that you think you're living in is not the world that you're actually living in. And once you start coming around and digging in and watching shows like this, then you may be inspired to have a conversation or start a show or whatever. And, you know, there was a woman talking last week at the meeting, and she was asking if we'd covered anything about, you know, elections and stuff. And we're like, well, not really. That's not really our topic. And she realized from the conversation that, oh, maybe she should start a show on those topics. So we're empowering each other to do this stuff and finding our place. You know, could I do a show like you do? I mean, right now, a big part of me just says, no, that's not my focus. This is where I'm comfortable, and this is great. I'm putting myself out there. But yeah, I think if we're inspiring others to help find where they fit, then that's kind of the goal of what we're up to lately.
I don't think you mean comfortable, because none of this is comfortable.
True.
It's not. It's what you're called to do.
To do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Called to do. Yeah.
Comfortable is not doing a show. That's a lot more comfortable.
But I didn't feel comfortable not. I felt
well. That's true.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of its own.
It's paradigm. Yeah. I'm. You know, when, you know, like we have a new intro on our show, and I finally have the right editing to put it on there. And Scott's like, no, you got to wait to, and I'm like, no, like we've got it. I was uncomfortable waiting a week before, you know, we started getting out there. So, you know, it's finding that, you know, doing the best you can with what you have and being willing to, okay, I gave it my best, and now it's time to do my best again with what I've learned. And so, yeah, I guess discomfort for me sometimes is not doing something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's good. You got to challenge yourself.
Got to challenge.
Yeah. Your whole life, you know, changes, you know, like certain things that I say, oh, if I looked at myself now, I say, oh, that makes me uncomfortable. Now just sitting there makes me uncomfortable. So yeah, the life has really changed. I talk about neuroplasticity a lot. So like even on my channel, I still have a handful of interviews. So, you know, even for you, like I always talk about doing something new, visiting a new place, starting a new routine, because it builds new neural pathways in the brain. So, you know, that's why once in a while, like I'm doing the interview with you guys, and it's great for the channel. I don't just say, oh, this is the only way that I do videos on my channel. You know, everyone's, that might be, you know, we could even go to the law of 80-20 again. 80%, and then 20% of the time we do new things to try to, I'm telling you, everything in life, you follow the law of 80-20, it's there. It's there. So yeah, but we're really witnessing, and we were talking about it earlier, we're really peeling back the veil. Like things are becoming more and more apparent and like out of control, so obvious.
Right.
The other day, so now I'm here, it's supposed to be sunny and warm, and we go down to the beach, and as I call it on my channel, we have the straight liney clouds start appearing out of nowhere. Straight liney. The day was totally clear, and literally in a matter of 20 to 30 minutes, all of a sudden heavy clouds, and we were freezing cold. So it's people that aren't either aware, or people that are in denial of weather manipulation, got to start waking up.
Well, I want to ask you a question on that. So, as far as it's becoming more obvious, what do you see as the source, if you will, of what is making things more obvious? I mean, I have my, perspective on it, but what do you think is the cause, the awakening part, for that? Do you think it's divine mixed with man-made, or what? Give us your insight on that.
So there's two forces, right? So we have the natural awakening. So things that you might not have been aware of, now it's so I see this, I see that over, I see that over there, I see it now, I see you. I say, I see you, serpents, I see over there. So number one, it's us becoming more aware, right? So you now things are sticking out where you just glazed over them in the past. Number two is that this is their last effort, so they don't care no more. And that's why a lot of things at this point, and it's the damage has been done. That's why sometimes, like maybe a year, 2 years ago, they cared about certain things. They don't care anymore because it's already, they did what they had to do. And
Right.
this is a journey of authenticity, and that's
So are
why
you saying things like seeing the Balenciaga, seeing the woke agenda, seeing the sexualization of children, all that kind of stuff, it's their last ditch effort? And is that partly what you're talking
well,
about?
it's and again, it's both. It's
Yeah.
both. There's last ditch efforts, and then there's also, because at the end, evil has to be revealed, and it has to be. Remember, light consumes darkness all the time. So it's happening now. Everything is revealed, right, and then evil is destroyed. But that's why it seems like, oh, it's our awareness. So we're awake. It's like two, there's a part in I believe it's the Avengers Age of Ultron. I like to teach about Marvel superheroes on my channel. And he says, like, there was a scene, I believe it was the Vision. He said, your presence, right, is now also getting the bad guys to up their game. So as more superheroes would grow, then the bad. So it's almost like, so I mean, we probably are in the next 5 years. We're going to be like literally living in a world of like, you're going to see like superheroes and maybe some other creatures and stuff. And I don't even know what we're. No, but it's everything is amped up. The sun, the light is amped up. Physics itself can change if as the sun changes, like, and the magnetic fields of the sun change. And I know we talk about the solar flash many times. Everything could change, and what we're accustomed to, I've shared on my channel, and anyone that's listening to this, you could share in the comments. I'm seeing life forms I've never seen before, plants I've never seen before, and I'm talking about not traveling around. Like, I live this place my whole life, and I see flowers and plants that never existed there. People didn't go around planting these things. Things were sprouting in December. We saw like flowers sprouting in December. How these flowers got like strangest stuff. Yeah, bugs. I have a Patreon as well, and I do more behind the scenes stuff, and I speak a little bit more in detail about certain things we can't talk about.
Right.
And I shared like these bugs, like this blue bug and it was very strange. And yeah, it's very interesting how things that like kind of don't belong where you're seeing them, like, and that's just the beginning part of this. And again, I can only talk about things that I experienced, but I mean, I even see on YouTube the whole if you've seen that or not, the Euphrates River, which is a biblical time when the Euphrates River dries up. It's drying up right now, and the sounds that are coming out from under the ground.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
again, I don't know. I don't have. I'm just sharing about it, and not saying it's real or not. But what's under the ground?
Well, how about the animals? Just going in circles. It started
Yeah.
with those sheep, and now it's all turkeys are doing it. All kinds of other animals are doing it.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating. Pretty fascinating.
Yeah. It's really we're witnessing the rapture. And recently on my channel, I just had a video. It really got out there to a lot of people. A lot of people aware of this. And I just read the comments, and so many people, everything that I described, where this is it. And people want to be in denial. That's okay. They want to close their eyes, be asleep at the wheel, but you can't stop. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
And we're literally witnessing. So we can't really close our eyes to it. Let's just go with the flow.
Well, we were chosen to be. I mean, I think we chose to be here at this
We
time.
chose. Yeah, I still want to see. We have soul contracts. I still want to see the signatures on those.
Me
You out
too.
there. I gotta see the signatures.
Yeah, I had terrible representation at the time. I think.
I know. I don't.
Oh,
I don't like
no,
this one.
I'm happy to be here. Well, I got a question for you along the Marvel lines. Isn't Loki a Marvel character?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch that series, the Loki
Oh,
series?
it really it's talking about the different timelines and
Oh
how
yeah.
things happen.
I like
And
where they took that. It was fascinating.
and so that's why a lot of people like they're following along and things are supposed to happen and then they don't happen and this and everything. There's two. So that whole remember they disclose the truth in these movies and shows to and this is all happening. We're timeline hopping, baby. Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
it's
that
not
one
so
in
fun. I like to
particular.
know what's going on, but we don't know what's happening next.
Yeah, I'm probably going to watch that whole series over again because it was. I mean, there was some really profound stuff just kind of thrown into the storyline, but
Yeah.
it was a fascinating way to illustrate how timelines work.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. But we all hop in the timelines. Hopefully we're on the highest one now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about time. Well, I know we're right around the 50-ish minute mark. Is there anything that either one of you guys want to go over in closing?
Yeah, well, while we're on the topic of timelines,
Please.
because you said hopefully we are on the right, and certainly all of us are probably going to be vibrating similarly, but collectively, you would think certain frequencies are going to end up on certain timelines. So, how is that observed? Like your cranky friend that isn't buying any of this, they don't just disappear. I mean, what do you have to say about that in terms of observing the timelines and what we can see and what maybe we can't?
Well, there's things that are physically disappearing, and then there's metaphorically, both together. There's people maybe in your life or situations. Look at both of our, former careers and where we are now. Things are just raptured. It's gone. And along with that, we're in an extinction event, and there's a mass die-off that's happening. And this is a biblical time. We're just observing. Tesla said, "Be the observer." So across the board, we're witnessing just more people dying than ever before. There's nothing we could do about it. It's a biblical time. So more people are physically dying, and less people resonate with you. I talk to you guys. I talk to a handful of people. I don't. I used to talk to hundreds of people. And the other thing too, could you imagine? Because you were a school teacher like me. Imagine going into the science class and you say, "All right, we're going to talk about timelines today." They would have wrote it. They would have take out the pad. They would have. They're coming for the observation. Well, this is not part of the curriculum time. Meanwhile, this is the real stuff that kids really need to know. Any parents that are watching this, check out the channel. I have so many full families watch my videos now. They leave me comments. I watch with my son. I watch with my daughter. So many people are homeschooling because, I mean, we are the Dolores Cannon spoke about the waves, but this is all about the next wave of children. And we didn't have this in the past, breaking free of all of the subconscious programming, also known as mind control. So now we have so many, and it's all about the children. It's all about the children. So if we went full circle from how we started the conversation to the end of the conversation. As a species, right? As former science teachers, as a species, in order for us to continue, it's about the next generation. Otherwise, humanity will go extinct. And this is an extinction event.
For sure.
And it's not about a comet. It's about consciousness. Are we going to be conscious and aware and wake up, or will we be asleep at the wheel? It's free will, and the choices in the hands of the people now.
Yeah. And speaking of the kids, we've had two satanic abuse survivors on our show in the last week, Laura Worley and Kathy O'Brien. And man, it just, you hear them talk, and whatever we've been through, it's it's haunting. Kathy has a movie out called Trance, Trance, and she talked about it, and she didn't go into the details of what she had to do, but you know, when you listen to these stories, as challenging as our lives have been to go through, you know, switching jobs and you know, speeches and doing all the things it does to make a show and all that stuff, I think of what they've been through as children and the mind control, and we have it easy. So if people are thinking things are tough, seriously, take a look into either Laura Worley or Kathy O'Brien's life, and you know, and the links are below the videos that we did to them, and it's just, it'll make you realize that we've had it pretty easy. So if they can make a shift, if they can get their lives turned around with what they've been through, man, we all have not only a chance, but a lot of opportunity to create the world that we want to create. So,
well, that's the best part of those interviews, is the triumph for the human spirit. You know, it's not just a downer. It's a real inspirational story of both occasions.
That's the whole point, is how inspiring. That they've turned it around.
and that's the strength of the warrior in the end days right now, because equally as satanic as that, the people that gaslight and shame these people are also satanic, and every story needs to be told. And that's why I stand as the warrior. You know, I heard some of those stories on the Truth Tour, and I'm watching it. I'm watching everything right now, and you know, people will try to come and slander everyone. When you look at shame, I'm teaching people how to navigate this spiritual war. Just identify shame, and you'll find the devil in shame.
Good way to put.
Yeah, that's a really good diagnostic. Actually.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
No, I get like, no, how you said, I can't let this go at this point. You know, I'm like all in. I'm ready. Like everything I do, I'm just training people for this, and that's how we're building critical mass. And that's why we have to protect our children. We have to listen to the other people. And you know, how you said, we're going full circle again. Everyone has a different story, and you know, somehow we all said, okay, this is where we're hopping into this world on this timeline, and I'm going to come in from here. So whether it's I always talk about people, things, and situations. A person might have started in a bad situation or a bad place, right? Like I didn't even realize, like growing up like this, I just thought, oh, everything is like, I didn't know, like there's like free places to live and you don't have to live on top of, like, I'm just, as Captain America once said, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I didn't realize there's a whole other world out there, you know? So
it's that contrast. That contrast is key. I mean, you know, without it, you can only experience pleasure to the degree that you've experienced pain. I mean, there is that relationship. And so even though that contrast can be really difficult to swallow at times, it's a gift, whether you know it or not. Yeah,
you have to have firsthand experience.
Yep.
I just got to say, it's really cool. Liz sitting next to, you know, I've done some outdoor ed for at-risk youth back in my late 20s, but I'm talking to two teachers who now, even though they don't teach in a school anymore, are impacting the world in a much broader way. And so it's brilliant to hang out with you gentlemen. I gotta say that.
Yeah, it's my honor to be with you guys too. And you know, that's why whatever we came, like now, this is what we came here to do. But we had our lessons, right? So maybe we had to be in the school system to just sharpen our teaching skills. That's what we had to do. You know, whatever the role is. So there might be a person that's listening to this message right now. You know, you'll find your mission, and I can't tell you. No one could tell you. Only this is a personal relationship that you have with God and yourself and your soul, and it's just going to resonate, and you're going to know. It's just going to dawn on you and say, okay, this is what I came here to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Michael, where can I know people will see you on your show, but they'll see you on our show. Where can people find you? And we'll tie this up with a nice bow.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, Our Everyday Lives. You could check it out. We have daily videos, very important. You know, we're growing on a daily basis, and You know, it's really for support. Number one, we could learn something new every day. I have held the standard. You know, I intend to learn at least one new thing every day. So, you know, we do a video every day on YouTube. Have a Patreon, same thing as well, Our Everyday Lives. And, you know, we have a group chat on Telegram, and it just keeps everyone together, you know, and that's our community. That's our mission. And I'll be sharing this video as well on my channel. Where could people find the two of you?
Well, we're mainly on Rumble under Truth Stream with Joe and Scott. We also have Truth Social. We have Telegram, Instagram. Everything's under Truth Stream, and you'll see a little Airstream with Adventures in Truth to know it's us. There might be other things that sound similar, but we're pretty easy to find. But yeah, if you go to any of our interviews, if you just hit the description, we list everything, and we'll list your links as well. And
yeah, I also have a Twitter that I've been working on for the past few. I'm back on Twitter, so you guys should share that too. I do the best I can for the social media aspect. I'm just, you know,
yeah, it can be a lot.
I'm working on that too. Yeah,
we even started a TikTok because we have a friend named Gianni Salvatore, and he has like 75,000 followers, and I'm like,
yeah.
Gianni, we've had a couple interviews with him, but I told him, I'm like, you're the only reason we're going on TikTok, because I already have enough crap I have.
I actually have a TikTok as well. I kind of gave up on it, but you know what? From this, I'm gonna get back on the TikToks. I have a TikTok. I'll share you the TikTok too.
Is that Our Everyday Lives too?
I believe so. Yes, I'll send the link.
We'll follow you there.
All right. All right.
Yeah. We left off YouTube. We're also on YouTube.
True.
Hi, Susan. Yeah. And we're just briefly on YouTube from time to time because our topics tend to be a little hot for YouTube. But this one, I think you'll be able to enjoy on YouTube as
well.
Good
point. So. Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good catch.
Yeah. And if you're watching it on Rumble, if you could do us a favor and go over and subscribe on YouTube, that would help out immensely.
It really would.
And if everyone could subscribe to me on YouTube, that's the best.
Well, and I want to tell something to your listeners. You know, people don't know this, but I've learned this from a gentleman that does a lot of social media stuff. A like is 1 point, a comment is about 10 points, and then a share is 15. So a share, if people share it, the algorithm's 15 times more than a like. So, I mean, this is stuff we normally don't always talk about, but if people know about it, then they're more likely to do it, you know. And anyone seeing this, if you can at least hit like on Michael's channel or ours, it lets us know. And please feel free to comment, because we like to know, you know, if we've motivated someone to maybe quit eating the nachos in the stands and head on down to the field.
Yeah, it's time to get on the field.
Well, if you're sharing Michael's video, you're sharing, you're making people smile, you know. I mean, it's a very uplifting place to be. So,
and it's a way to live vicariously through 3 Italians. So
yeah,
if you want to be
Italian stallions.
Yeah, when all this settles out, we're gonna start doing a cooking show together. So
yeah. Well, I also do Friday Night Live, so I always say too, when the war is over, I'm just gonna do like stand-up comedy or something.
There you go.
I like it.
All right, Paisan. Well, it's always a pleasure, Michael. Thank you so much. You always reignite our spirit if we're feeling any kind of, you know, down at all or anything like that. So
definitely, always a pleasure.
It was wonderful being with you guys. All right, take care.
All right, ciao for now.